Business is great. Let me tell you what, man, peak performer of all the 5 stages is the most fun of all. Not only is everything lined up and working like it's supposed to be working, but you are making bank. It is like, oh yeah. And then stupid people come out and go, you're so lucky. And you just want to get up right in their face and yell at them, luck had nothing to do with this crap. God's blessings, yeah. My hard work, yeah. Don't you call me lucky. Lucky comes to work in overalls and has calluses. That's what lucky does. I got you lucky. Oh God, that drives me nuts. But you're starting to kick butt now, man. It's moving, right? You got things going. And you're stacking cash and everything you touch is working, and it's like, woo-hoo. Every day is like something good is happening. Peak performance is a wonderful stage. And you worked your butt off at this point. We always say we worked our butt off for 20 years. We're an overnight success, right? Everything's going good. And so I'd been on every show at this point. I'd been on the, Larry King was big. Any of you old enough to remember Larry King? Yeah, and Larry King, I was on, remember the show Sally Jesse Raphael? Y'all remember that one? With the red glasses. I was on Sally's show several times, and I was on every dadgum show out there, but I couldn't get on Oprah. Oprah was the big dog show in those days. If you could get on Oprah, you could sell 1 million books just from the appearance. If she extended her scepter towards you, like the king of old, and bless you, my son, I endorse the book. Boom, Barnes & Noble explodes, right? And so, but I couldn't get on Oprah. And Oprah's people would call and tease us. They would say, we're thinking about putting you on. Would you send us some stuff? Yes, we'll send you some stuff. We'll send people up there. We'll send an emissary, an ambassador. What do you need? We'll send what is it you drink? You'll have some. I mean, all of it, anything you need. And they would talk to us like 3 times and then just shut us off, ghost us. No response. And so I've been on everything but Oprah. And the joke around the office was, I've almost been on Oprah more than anybody. Because this happened like 6 times. They would call and then just drop us. It was like the pretty girl in high school toying with you or something. It was just ridiculous. So finally, 60 Minutes calls. And Leslie Stahl wants to do a story. Now, 60 Minutes is kind of a mixed bag. Because it's got huge viewership, and if they say good things, it's going to be a good day, right? But if they don't say good things, and they generally don't say good things, they generally trash you at some point in the story. Well, his detractors say, and they interview some goober who has an idea or an opinion who's never done anything, lives in his mother's basement, right? And, his detractors say, and so anyway, we finally get on 60 Minutes, and it was a 12-minute positive story. And we're like, you can look that up in the Bible. That's called a miracle. And it exploded. And the next week, Oprah's people called. Right? We're like, well, we'll think about it. What day do you want us there? And we went and filmed the show. So 60 Minutes plays in November. It blew up the internet when we just got internet. Servers were all melting down because of all the hits. We go in the spring and film an Oprah show, and they say, we're not going to play it in the spring. We're going to wait till September to play it. 60 Minutes calls and says, the show went so well last November, we're going to play it at the end of our reruns in the summer. So the last week of August, we're going to run it again, get ready. And now we know what it is. It's 12 positive minutes. And Oprah says, a week later, we're going to run it. And so we're getting these 2 things back to back. We called Larry King just because we didn't want him to be left out, right? I mean, it was like, wow, this is like and our young team is all going, oh, this is so good. Look at all this, God's blessings, and this is just wonderful. And I'm like, yes, it's God's blessings. It's also 25 years worth of work. God, it's like Earl Nightingale used to say, he said, old preacher's coming along the road and he looks down, sees this beautiful farm, and he walks down, the farmer comes out to the end of the road and he's all dirty and he says, your farm is so beautiful. Every row is perfect. There's not a weed in sight. He said, God has blessed you with a wonderful farm. And the old farmer says, yes, sir, he has. And I get on my knees every morning and I thank God for his graciousness and his blessings. Preacher, you should have seen this farm when God had it all to himself. So yes, it's God's blessings, but it's also our hard work, and it's the combination of these 2 things. And we're trying to explain this to our team, that this just is not a random occurrence. Oprah didn't discover us. We couldn't even get her to talk to us. Come on. And so we started writing up how are we going to communicate this to people, and we decided to communicate it to them using what we call the momentum theorem. The momentum theorem, and that's Fi over T multiplied by large G equals unstoppable momentum. Focused intensity over time multiplied by God equals unstoppable momentum. For those of you that are math nerds, anytime on one side of the equation you multiply something by an infinite, the answer on the other side of the equation is infinite. So when you take your efforts and you multiply them by the great I am, the answer on the other side of the equation is unstoppable momentum. And then you get to be up here 35 years later and do what I'm doing. And I get to sit backstage and go, wow, look at what God has done with the work that we did. And that is one of our core values. It's 14 on the wall. Be focused, be intense, over time, and always acknowledge that God's blessings are what's really causing it, and taking our efforts and multiplying them times the infinite. And so as a peak performance, your business is now a well-oiled machine. You're making bank. You stay here for a long time sometimes because the business is working. The only problem with peak performer is the key issue is you become comfortable. And you can get just kind of fat. Like you quit working out because it's all okay now. Business is too comfortable. So the action plan that causes you to level up to the last stage is you constantly reconnect to your mission and vision. You keep the shock stick out and keep to the organization. You keep the organization excited and a little bit worried at all times. Proactive disruption. Break it before it's broken. Break it before it's broken. And in our fast rate of change culture in a digital world, if you're not out on the cutting edge trying some new technologies and some new business models and some new things at all time, you're sitting comfortable in your peak performer stage. It's going to catch up with you and hit you in the back of the head. Break it before it's broken. A relentless culture of getting better. We demand excellence, and we're appalled and aghast when excellence does not occur. And none of us are okay with it. If you keep at it, your business will keep growing and growing and growing, and then you'll move to this last stage. You'll want to go to the legacy stage. And that's where you become a legacy builder. Now, we're 100% in legacy builder at this point at Ramsey. Daniel Ramsey, my son, became the president about 14 months ago. He and I have offices beside each other. I'm the CEO. We run this together now. We're having a blast as father and son doing it. We've been evolving into that for about 15 years to get to this point. Daniel's been on the team for a little over 10 years to get to this point. He's served and been excellent all through the company, has moved into this. And as a legacy problem, or a legacy builder, your key problem is you don't have a succession plan. And John Maxwell says, where there is no succession, there is no success. So how do you deal with this problem, your action plan to level up here? Well, you've got to start talking about how we're going to do a financial transfer. If you're the owner, how are you going to eat when the next gen is running the place and owns the place? How are we going to do a leadership transfer? How are they going to trust the next gen to lead? How are we going to move them into those seats and get them where they're trustworthy and competent? And all these people that can finish my sentences all through the building now, I can lean on them, and they've also got to lean into the next generation and carry this past me. There's got to be the legal transfers. We've got to figure out how we're going to move the actual ownership. We've got to have a brand and a reputation transfer. The vendors, the team, the customers, all three need to know how the thing is going to survive when the old lady dies or the old man dies or retires. How is has the next gen got the chops to carry it? And they've got to see it happening. They've got to know it's happening, because otherwise they assume it's not being worked on, because most of the time it's not being worked on, because most people's succession plan in business today is, as they have a heart attack, grab their heart and fall back into the grave, they toss the keys out. Instead of gradually, intentionally, step by step, iterating into that succession and making it an intentional act of winning over a period of time. The brand transfer with us has been particularly hard and poignant. because it's an emotional transfer, because I am the brand, or I was the brand. It was DaveRamsey.com was the mothership. 36 months ago, we moved it to RamseySolutions.com. It cost us with stupid Google SEO for a while because they couldn't get everything moved. We did everything we're supposed to do, but and we lost, customers couldn't find us because they were all attuned into the other. The algorithms couldn't find us. The search engines weren't finding us like they were supposed to. It took about a year and a half for the stupid thing to catch back up to where it was, much less continue growth. We took a step back to get it out of my name. In 2021, spring or February, we had 2 Ramsey personalities on the air, one, me and one other, every day as co-hosts for a while, and we decided it was time to change the name from the Dave Ramsey Show, which has about 30 million listeners, viewers between YouTube, radio, and podcast, to change the name of the show. That's a big deal, from the Dave Ramsey Show to the Ramsey Show. We talked about it, and I said, let's try something different. Let's just do it and not tell anybody and see if anybody notices. Because we've been working on these Ramsey personalities, so many of them are so well known. Rachel Cruz has had 3, now 4 #1 bestsellers. Ken Coleman's had 2 #1 bestsellers. John Deloney's had 2 #1 bestsellers. So surely the tribe, our listenership, is aware they're there and aware they're a big part of what we're doing and where we're going, that we're transferring the brand from me to them. So surely they won't care if we change the name. We changed the name without saying a thing except going on the air and said, welcome to the Ramsey Show instead of the Dave Ramsey Show every hour when we came on the air. You know who noticed? Me. Nobody cared. That was really distressing. It was pretty emotional for me. I got off the air and went, I've been planning to be less important, and damned if it didn't work. Very intentional act to move the brand, to move the leadership, to move the ownership. And if you don't do it intentionally, you're dooming the succession and the transition to failure. You better be thinking about it. If you're not working on it right now, you're already too late. You need to start working on it right now. It's part of your legacy journey, part of your legacy stage of business. This is where we are. So those are the 5 stages of business. They're not theory, they actually work, and they're very hard to work through. I gave you some of our particular milestones as we went through them, and you could relate to some of them. Some of the stuff is very hand to mouth, some of it's very primitive, and some of it starts to get pretty sophisticated as you go along. That's the 5 stages of business. So you're working the 6 drivers all the time, and that's what drives you to level up and meet these key problems and solve the key problems to level up and move through the 5 stages of business. It's exactly how it works. It's the EntreLeadership system. It is not a theory. It's a proven observation of facts.